Welcome everyone to another episode of Tobacco Road Weekly. We've got, as always, Mr. Stevie Fly. Mr. Fly, how are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you, Mr. Billy Parker?
I'm doing okay, doing good. And as a special guest, maybe not as special as our last guest, Mr. Derek Wittenberg, but special in his own right, Chris Andresen, our Virginia Cavaliers resident expert. So, Chris, welcome, bud.
Thanks, Billy. It's not often I follow Hall of Famers, so I know I've got big shoes to fill. But that was a great conversation show you guys had with Derek. That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. I think, but we do enjoy our conversations with you as well. So we're glad to have you back. So, so this weekend I was watching that Duke Virginia game, and before the game even started, Chris and I were talking a little bit. I said, you're in for that's going to be a tough one at Cameron. He's like, yeah. And he said, if we win though, you gotta play whatever I want as my opening, song or kickoff or introduction. And I said, you got it. Thinking it's no way the Cavaliers are going to walk in there and beat Duke. But guess what? They beat Duke. So
hey, move over and show that score.
There we go.
Oh, yeah. Boom.
Look at
just takes
look
one.
at those guys. Look at the Cameron crazy. Look at
I
them.
love it. I love it. It's so quiet and
Stunned.
they shut up. It's so great to see them in shock. I enjoy that moment so much. So,
before you do anything else, Billy, I want to say this.
Yeah.
Now we got our tails tore up by Duke. Okay, so that was actually this weekend. That was Saturday. I had a Duke fan come up to me Friday night before the game and say, it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a close game. And, the next night, I think Sunday morning, he was on Facebook. Where are all the Carolina fans at now? And I was like, I'm right here, bud. I mean, I'm always going to be right here. And then the next, right before the Virginia game, he posts on Facebook, all right, you Duke, you got to come out and play as hard as you did on Saturday against Carolina. Or you can't just go out there and win. Guess what? Ever since then, all I've heard, crickets. He's disappeared. He's gone AWOL.
That sounds like a Duke fan. So, he'll enjoy this then as we play.
Yeah, let's hear this.
Chris's intro.
Where'd it go?
Can you hear it? You got it? No?
Hold
You
on
missed
one
it.
second.
It came in and out.
Let's try it again one more time.
All right.
See, we try to get fancy with stuff. Can you hear that? No?
No, Billy.
How about here?
Hold on a second. Hold on 1 second right here. This let me
All right, you try it. My technical skills aren't I guess where they need to be. I apologize.
all right, first let me know if you can first let me know if you can hear this.
No.
It's low. I can hear it in my head, guys, very clearly as to what happens.
Well, maybe we can go back and edit this thing in for Mr. Andresen. I apologize. He comes on.
Hey, let's do one better here, Billy. Hold on.
All right.
I'm gonna try this. Hey, can you enable somehow the ability for me to share the screen with you?
Oh, absolutely. I think.
Do that. Let me be able to share the screen because I can do. Well, you just did that. What are you looking at, Billy? I'm looking at your screen. Is hold on. Let me see. Oh, you got to let me do it though, Billy. That's the thing. I don't. That may be too complicated.
This is falling apart, guys.
Hold on. All right, go ahead. Now you just go back to where you're not sharing. We're getting all the pieces here. I was going to actually show the clip up there. Have you got the video up right now, or is it just the audio clip?
It's just audio. I guess we're gonna. Chris, I tried, man. We'll have to forgo.
I appreciate it, Billy. I appreciate it. I will still come back. I will still come back.
I appreciate it.
All right.
It was a heck of a moment.
It was going to be beautiful, and I ruined it. My bad. So, all right. Now that I've botched our technical opportunity to roll out the exciting moment where Virginia nails the shot to beat Duke, and we'll let Chris describe that in detail a little bit later because that was a fun moment. What we wanted to really get doing is roll up our sleeves and dive into, what the ACC is right now. It is a bit of a mess across the board. Steve and I have talked quite a bit about it. This is probably the worst, kind of season for the ACC across the board. But at the end of the day, we still have some teams in the ACC that are performing pretty well. So we're going to kind of focus on the top 8 that are really kind of showing and who's really going to be contending to move up to the top of the conference. Because right now it's been a little movement back and forth. And, Virginia is on a rocket ship moving. They've been kind of hanging in that middle level, and the last couple of weeks have just moved really quickly, kind of moving towards the top. So it's going to kick it off. And we have a pretty cool list that, we use quite often for our power rankings to kind of go over things. So I was going to start off with that and kind of walk through what we're looking at. And you guys said we're going to go bottom to top, right? So I think we're starting with the number 8, which would be, I believe, Florida State. So Florida State right now, and this was early in the week that we had this and rolled this out. And so there's been a couple games played since. So since this came out, Florida State played last night. I believe they played Clemson last night.
No, they played Pitt.
Played Pitt last night. Okay. And Pitt actually won that game. So they're going to slip on this list, I would assume. So guys, if Florida State was at the top of this thing not that long ago, hovering around that 1 or 2 or 3 spot.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. And since, they've lost to Clemson and lost to Wake Forest in the last few weeks. So what do you guys think about Florida State? I mean, is this, do you think they're trending on the downward spiral or what do you think? They'll pop back up and win some games and start moving up?
I mean, I think it's interesting what you're seeing in the league right now, Billy. Basically, the top of the league, most of the teams at the top half of the league are playing pretty well, right? They're on win streaks. The bottom half are on, pretty lengthy losing streaks. And Florida State is on that same trajectory. So right now, I mean, we've talked about a few teams already, but this is not the time of the year that you don't want to be playing well. And when you lose to a team like Pitt, I mean, it's one thing to lose to Wake, but when you lose to, and that was, I believe that was a home game for FSU. So that was a big loss. And then when you come out and lose to Pitt, that may tell you something. And I think between the three of us, we have a ton of respect. I mean, Leonard Hamilton is one of the best coaches in college basketball, period. Yeah. Just like with every other team in this league, they've lost a lot of talent over the last 2-3 years to the NBA, to, other things. And so certainly right now, when you look at the middle of the ACC is really where the rise is coming. You've got UVA, you've got Syracuse, Virginia Tech, Florida State, though, they're going the opposite way. So it seems to me that they're falling down in that bottom tier as we head into the home stretch here of the season.
Yeah, definitely not a time where you want to be struggling and losing 4 games in a row. And, I won't say the Wake loss was bad because, Wake's got a good team. We talked about that in the last week. But, like you said, losing to Pitt, come on. I mean, you were number 1 in the power rankings 2 weeks ago, and then you come out. Not only do you, I can understand a little bit of a losing streak, but losing to Pitt, you're definitely on the wrong way. It's not gonna be good. The only thing, and I'm not gonna give away everything right now, but Florida State's next opponent, we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But yeah, do I think they'll turn it around? I don't know. I don't think, they don't have the talent they've had. And I don't know if this is something that Leonard Hamilton can right this ship this year. I don't know if he can right the ship on this year.
Well, and remember last year, we talked quite a bit during the season. They look unstoppable. And towards the latter half of the season, they definitely kind of took a step back. It almost seems like peaked too soon and start kind of falling back a little bit. But it's amazing how streaky these things are.
Couldn't handle big game situations.
No, they couldn't. And I mean, I don't think it's a coaching thing. I think Leonard Hamilton's a great coach. I don't think it's that. But I agree. I think they're going to fit on that number 8,
Oh,
and I don't see them going up.
And it's like I talked about last year when we talked about that team, all the talent in the world, but Pat Kennedy was a great coach at Florida State too. And
Sure.
They had that team in 92 with Sura, Cassell, Doug Edwards, Dobard, and should have been able to win the ACC. They were on fire at one time. You know, they upset Carolina, and then they just took a step back. I mean, you blew a 20-point lead against Carolina in 92 in the Ding Dome, and you know they just fell apart. Big game situation. That's the same way last year's Florida State team was. Big game.
I think that's the year Chris was born.
Pretty close. I couldn't. Well, let's put it this way: I couldn't spell Florida State at that period in my life. But I will. One thing that you guys know too. I mean, you guys are coaches in your own right. Anytime you are on a streak like they're on, every game becomes that much more important. And so, you know, especially when you lose to Pitt, that should have been a get right spot. Now there's a lot of pressure on the game this weekend, and it just keeps building. And so, as you said, Stevie, their history, at least recently, is we haven't seen them get up for those big games. And so now every game's a big game. So that just increases the pressure on that program moving forward.
Yeah, and then we're talking about momentum. You just mentioned, Chris, Syracuse is really at number 7 in the power ranking, but Syracuse is doing what Syracuse always does, right? I mean, that is they always not so good in the beginning and slowly get better and better and better. They're like a soup. You got cooking and it just kind of sits there and it marinates. It gets, and then they by the end of the season they seem to peak. And you're seeing a little bit of that now. It might be a little bit too late. I don't know if they've got enough in the tank to get it done this time, but they are making a bit of a move. They went over State 89-82 recently. That was a pretty close game back and forth, but they got hot at the end and pulled that out. They beat Louisville, but actually they crushed Louisville. Right now, and Louisville is kind of a mess, but they're playing well. I'm trying to think, did they play last night? I was looking at the list. I'm not sure if they had a game last night.
Yeah, I think. Well, they beat BC. I think that was last night. So and one of the thing for them, and I think I saw scrolls across the ticker today. Their center, I believe, is out for the year. Edwards.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I think he maybe broke his wrist or something like that in the game last night.
And they were already thin down low. Right.
And so and again, for the zone, that's an important piece. And I always, Tony Bennett's had a lot of success. So watching Virginia against the zone just carve it up. One thing about, some of these other coaches, they change it up. Boeheim, he sticks with that zone.
He does.
I mean, it doesn't matter if they're getting killed or what. He sticks with that zone. And so that, that could be an interesting situation to monitor, that injury situation. Because like you said, Bill, I mean, at this point of the year, again, comes down to attrition. Now they can shoot and they're not shy about it. So that's helpful. But that could impact, some of their defense and their offense coming down the stretch here.
Yeah, Buddy Boeheim's ridiculous. And he just continues to get better and better. I mean, I remember, 3 years ago, he used to coach his kid, and who says he's legit. And I mean, actually 3 years ago, towards the end of the season, you started seeing he's legit. I mean, he can shoot the eyes out of the ball. He's probably, if not the best, one of the best 3-point shooters in the ACC for sure. It's pure and contested, but that's not going to be enough to carry him. And his brother's been a nice addition this year. He's a good player, but as you just mentioned, they lost their center. I mean, it's not going to be enough to make that up.
What did we say? What did we say a few weeks ago though, when Syracuse was down at the bottom of the power, near the bottom of the power rankings? Yeah. What did I say? I said, no need to worry right now. Syracuse fans, don't get your panties in a bunch and don't worry about this. It all depends on what you do that last part of the season. This is what you guys do. But like you said, losing the center, that's going to put a lot of pressure on Boeheim. You know, you may not be able to overcome. Buddy Magic may not happen this year. Boeheim Magic, whatever you want to call it, may not happen this year. But
well, right now they're sitting at 13 and 11, 7 and 6. That's not. I mean, that shouldn't be enough.
That's not NCAA tournament.
No, that's not going to be enough, especially a year where the ACC is only getting a few teams in.
Right.
So they'd have to do an awful lot of work. And then now if they've got an injury, I don't see it happening. I think they're going to end up staying middle of the road. I don't think they're going to peak.
I mean, they've got some winnable games coming up, but then they close, I want to say, with Duke, UNC, and Miami. So their closing stretch is tough, right? And so you can see a situation where they'd have to win, they have to win those last 3 games to potentially.
Well, they already got the state game over with, so that was good for them. So
you mentioned it, Billy. I mean, we won't harp on it because state lost, but it was a fun game to watch.
It was. I
mean, if you like offense and making shots, I mean, it was back and forth, so
State actually played really well that game.
Right.
Especially particularly the first half. And they just got outshot by Syracuse.
Right.
In the end. And but it actually was a really good game to watch. And actually State played pretty well that game, but just got outshot by those guys. But it was a little too many threes from Buddy. Got us. So moving up, we're getting to Stevie's area. Sitting at number 6 on the power rankings is UNC, North Carolina. So that Carolina is probably used to sitting more at the top 3, but right now in the power rankings around 6. Carolina to me is in probably one of the most interesting positions any other team in the ACC right now. I mean, they're really on the cusp of not making the tournament or turning a corner where they potentially could make the tournament. They need. I don't think they have any quad one wins anywhere for sure, which is a problem. They've won some other games. You blow out State, of course.
Well, I mean, hold on. Where's the talk about? We haven't been on the air. Hold on. We haven't been on the air. Let's talk about this for a minute too. I gotta throw this out here.
All right.
I hear from Billy like every other day, any other week, and then we do the Wittenberg interview that Monday. Hear from him all week about let's get the Wittenberg interview going, and then. I worked that Saturday and I'm watching on my phone and, I haven't heard from Billy in like a week and a half since the
I'm very
Carolina
busy.
State game.
I was very busy that week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you were real busy. I can guarantee you, guys, if it went the other way, I'd have heard from him as soon as that clock hit 0-0-0. But anyway, okay. That's
no, hey, listen, that was an ugly game from beginning to end. But then Carolina got kicked in the mouth by Duke right after. So, I mean.
What has that got to do with the price of eggs in China?
Well, it does. Because it's just, that's typical Carolina this year, right?
No, exactly.
They could have played anybody that game when they played State. They could not miss. Couldn't miss.
No, you're right.
Now, our defense, gave them, but they couldn't miss. Now, the Duke game, they were missing shots. Duke defense is better, but they're hot and cold. They seem to be winning games. We were just talking about before we started. Carolina cannot put 2 and 2 together to get anything rolling. So it does really tell you a lot about this team. One minute you're like, oh heck yeah, this team's NCAA in tournament, they're ready, and then the next week you go, wow, they're not. I mean, they just did squeak by Clemson the other night. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Here's the thing with me. I mean, these wins, and I'm going to throw some shade at Chris too. We had a big win over Virginia, which I will give Chris credit though. Chris texted me as soon as the game was over. I mean, that's what a true blue fan or true orange fan will do. Not a true red fan will do. But to see the blowout wins and Virginia, I don't think Virginia's got a bad team at all. They're proving that now. Bennett's a great coach, but to see the win over Virginia, the wins over State, and then the blowouts, and when they're playing well, you see these guys have the talent. But I don't know what happens what happens after that win going to the next game? Because it's just like start all over again. Let's start over again. We've never seen a basketball before. Looked like they hadn't seen and granted, it's Duke. I get that. Duke's got a good team. I'm not saying Duke has a great team. You beat Carolina by 20. Big freaking deal. You're not the national champions. We're not going to hand the crown to you anymore. But what happens in between that win and the next game? Why is there something in their head? Is it something the coach is not getting them prepared for? I don't know what the answer is. But the guard play has been not good. It's been up and down. Caleb Love has not played up to the potential that they say he has. We need some help there. He needs to step it up. And, Baycott, when you force Baycott to be the man and to have a great game like he did against Virginia, and when Chris's text to me was we made hold on, it was because I really didn't know the outcome of the game when he texted me. Let me see. This was so far I laughed my butt off when I said, "What in the world?"
I may have compared him to Wilt Chamberlain based on
that was
game.
it. Yeah, we made Baycott look like Wilt Chamberlain. I was like, okay, this must have went really good for us. But yeah, I mean, but you depend on him. I don't think you can depend on him to be, if he scores his points, Carolina still needs that guard play. We need the perimeter shooting, and we're not getting it right now. Not every game. It's every other game. We're playing 500 basketball right now, and you can't do that right now.
As you guys know, I mean, as coaches, winning games consistently is hard, right? Especially in a league like this. There's a lot of parity. I would say there's probably like 3 tiers in the league, but those tiers at the top, middle, and bottom are all pretty close. And so it seems to me every game has its own identity. And a team like Carolina, if they feel like the inside game's working well, if you take that away, will the guards respond? And I don't know that we've seen that. And so to your point, Stevie, is that sort of a coaching thing? You sort of got a younger staff there trying to figure out how they motivate these guys to let them know, hey, if Mondo's not working on the post, Caleb, we need you guys on the perimeter to pick us up. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And finding that balance is hard to do. But I mean, like you said, Carolina's got a ton of talent to do that. Yeah. But it seems like when they get flying, like Billy said, they can't miss. They're just high flying. But when they get off to the bad start, like Miami, Duke, then they can't get themselves out of it.
Hard to get out of a big hole with Carolina.
Yeah.
It wasn't for Baycott against Clemson. They no way. Right. I mean, they couldn't hit anything. But he pulled them out, and they get the win. So,
and I'm going to say this too to the Carolina fans out there, that every game Carolina loses, you're calling for Hubert Davis's head. Give me
that was going to happen. I mean,
it's his first freaking year. I know this is Carolina basketball. I know this is the tradition and all that, but this is the guy's first year of being a head coach. Give the guy a break. I think he's going to be all right. You just got to give him a break.
Well, you just wait the next year with Shire if he loses a few games and see if they don't.
If Kelvin Keats can stay at State for like all these years, Hubert Davis should be in Carolina for a while.
Kevin Keats?
I think, we talked about this maybe a year or two ago on this podcast. College basketball is still sort of changing in itself.
Absolutely.
The transfer portal, all these different things. So, imagine not only replacing a legend in Roy Williams, but then you come in with those high expectations, and again, you've been on the bench, but you haven't been the man in that seat. There's a learning curve for anybody. And so you got to look at the product on the court, but then the recruiting and all those other things. And, I think we would all three agree he would probably figure it out. They've sort of laid the foundation for him to be successful.
Well, if he doesn't, they'll be calling Wes Miller real fast. Bring him in. So, but I think Hubert's going to get some leeway, and I think he'll do a good job. But coaching Carolina is going to be tough. It's very possible they don't make the tournament this year. It's possible.
They're on the bubble right now.
They're
I mean, but
definitely-
you're talking
hard on
about Syracuse a while ago. If you know, Syracuse got a ways to go to get above that line
Syracuse
to be
has
in
a
that
long
NCAA
ways to go.
tournament. Yeah,
Carolina
I mean,
squarely, I think they're in at this point, but if they lose
right now they are. But if they keep
Yeah.
playing, 500 basketball, I think it's iffy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Especially-
mean, when you mentioned their resume, Billy, I mean, when you look at it, they have maybe their best win might be Michigan. And that was, that's probably not a good a win anymore. Obviously they crushed us, maybe Stevie, you root for us and that looks like a better win, but down the stretch, you're gonna have to win because some of those other games, it's actually surprising when you look into it that they just haven't beaten anybody. And maybe that's a reflection on the ACC a little bit. Maybe you thought some of those wins would be bigger than they are, but out of conference, you had opportunities that just didn't happen.
Well, ACC this year, I mean, it's just not any, maybe what, two, maybe three ranked teams, and only one team really ranked in the top 10.
Right.
I mean, that's so unusual for ACC. You usually would have what, 5, 6 teams. So I mean, there's so many games you're playing. You're playing a ranked opponent, and it's not there this year. So it's hard to build that resume. Now, Stevie argued this all day long, but still Carolina. And if it's close, they'll get the nudge in. I mean, because everybody wants to see Carolina in the tournament. They do. I mean, it's just what it is.
No.
But
Let me ask you, Billy, as an NC State fan, do you want to see Carolina in the tournament?
I actually will say
yes or no question. Yes or no question.
No, I don't.
Okay, then you just proved my point. Hey, there is no way that there's NC State people out there that want to see Carolina in the tournament. There's no way there's
I don't care
Duke
about the
people out
state
there that
people.
want to
I'm
see
talking
Carolina
about the
in
selection
tournament.
committee. The selection committee.
Do you not think there are Duke people and Duke people on that selection committee? I'm sure Coach K's got his arm around them somewhere.
So we know the
I'm sure
they always get a little bit of a little kind of a nudge.
Roy, look, like we said, Roy is gone. He doesn't have the influence is not there. If Carolina's not there, they're not going to make it, Billy. I'm telling you. You can say what you want to about your favoritism. You favor Carolina. No, there's another team wearing blue that gets favored now.
They're both good. What do you think, Chris? Sometimes Steve and I have these debates, and we don't have a third party to come in and break the tie. What are your thoughts?
Look, I don't have a problem with any debate as long as you don't go with that crazy notion about social media trying to get games like you did last year. Good Lord.
It was a crazy year.
That was an interesting line that Billy took. I'll say this: with the eye test, to me, UNC is a tournament team. Just looking at that. Now, if I start looking at the resume, I mean, heck, I could look at Virginia's resume and say, "Oh, gosh, there's not a lot of." Obviously, you had a couple of good wins the last few days, but outside of that, I just think that's the way that's going to be in the ACC, and that's why a lot of the projections you're seeing, 4 or 5 teams.
Yeah.
So. Again, it just puts a lot of pressure on these next few weekends as we build to the tournament.
But if it comes down to, like you said, Billy, 3 teams making the tournament, you said you were talking about 3, maybe 4 teams making the tournament out of the ACC.
Probably 4.
Do you,
and then 5.
Do you think Carolina? Do you think Carolina's in that top 4?
I don't. I don't. No, at this point.
No, I don't right now.
Yeah.
They're going to have to show me something.
They definitely could. So I think 6 is probably a good place to be because, they're going to go one way or the other, and they're either going to start playing a little bit better, peaking and get some quality wins. They get another crack at Duke, right? So they got to go to Cameron on that one. That should be fun. But they get another crack.
Virginia can do it. We can do it.
There you go.
There you go.
Give confidence up and down the ACC. I mean, I think that UNC, if you look at their schedule coming up, again, they've got some winnable games. These are games they've got to have, right? I mean, you got to have these games, especially when it comes down. Then you play Duke again, and you've got maybe Miami and Syracuse on there. I mean, but you've got to win those other games. You can't, have some of these, bad losses at this point when you're on the bubble like that.
You can't have some of these so-called winnable games and not win. I mean, that's just what it's just inconsistency right now with Carolina. That's what bothers me. I mean, look, we crushed Georgia Tech. And I mean, we shut down their best scorer, but then we'll lose to some bottom feeder. That's what bothers me about Carolina right now. In a nutshell, there's the talent's there, but putting it together. I mean, Miami, who was a good team, they crush us. Duke crushes us. Wake Forest crushes us. It's not, it's just inconsistency there with Carolina is what really bothers me more than anything.
That's true. I mean, and that's hard. I mean, is that coaching? Is it, I don't know. Is it the chemistry?
I don't know.
Boy, had the same problems. Remember? I mean, this isn't.
I don't know if it's coaching per se, or have they bought into what Hubert's doing yet?
But yeah, I thought similar problems when Roy was there. I mean,
not at first. I mean, maybe the last couple of years, but
3 seasons have been.
Yeah,
like that.
but not when Roy first got there.
I guess maybe it's the players they have right now. Because that's the common denominator there.
I don't want to blame it on the players, but if I'm I mean, Hubert doesn't have a proven track record,
right?
But there's. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to go. I think you can read between the lines.
Well, I think he's got some leeway. So it's going to be interesting to watch. So, and I'm not going to be pulling for him. So, but I know you will. So we'll see what.
I wouldn't expect it any other way, Billy.
I want to pull you down with us. So that's what I want to do.
Well, look, we're not going down like the Titanic yet. So we're okay right now.
We're going down fast. So Miami is sitting at number 5. Miami was hot there for the longest time. What's going on? Because they have cooled off big time.
They ran into Virginia.
Virginia smacked them in the mouth and big time. And now they righted the ship a little bit yesterday. They got the win last night, but they lose Virginia 58-71.
Yeah,
and then get beat by Notre Dame 68-64. So I mean, look again, Notre Dame's. We'll get to Notre Dame. Notre Dame's legit. They really are. But the Virginia game. What the heck? I didn't see that coming. I did not see that coming at all. Chris, did you see that coming for Virginia?
I mean, again, at the start of this,
points on anybody.
We've been talking, as you guys know, over the course of the season. I've told you the one thing about Virginia has been we've been inconsistent. We've been consistently inconsistent, and so that Miami game told me that we'd figured something out.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, Miami came in hot, and they just the reality was they couldn't hit a shot. I mean, they were like 0 of 12 from 3 for the longest time. It was actually fun the defensive matchup with McGusty, who's a good ball player. He and Franklin were going back and forth. And that's another thing too. We were actually shooting really well. We didn't shoot very well against Duke. We made the couple threes that we needed to count, but
what'd you make? 3 3-pointers that game, and one of them was the game
2.
Was it just 2?
Yeah, it was 2. We were 1. Yeah. I think that Miami as a team is very solid. I think they've got really good guards. And so whenever you can rely on guards, it was interesting. I was looking at the box score. Their center had a good game yesterday. I think he had almost 20 points. Against us, he didn't do anything. And I didn't even see him looking for a shot. Yeah. And I was thinking, why is this guy on the floor? But now I can obviously see. And so I think when all that's clicking, but yeah, they just couldn't, they just had an off shooting night against us. Like you said, I mean, there's no shame in losing to Notre Dame. That's a good ball club. So I think at the end of the year and over the next couple of weeks, Miami is still going to be there. They've got, again, an experienced coach. They've got some experienced players. They're Charlie Moore, who is their point guard.
I love that. I love the way he plays ball.
Right, but he's played at 4 different schools. I mean,
I know.
You don't see that very often, right? I mean, there's probably not too many of those guys out there, but that's kind of how their team's constructed.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately they'll be okay, and I wouldn't be surprised that they were at the end of the year in the top 3 in the ACC. I just think that's a really good team.
I agree. I think they got punched in the mouth by Virginia. That hurt. The Notre Dame game was close. Losing that's a tough ball game, period. So, and then they're going to win. Everybody's going to have a night. It just doesn't click. So I agree with you. I think they're going to stay at least in the top 5, top 3. Right now they have a 17-7, 9-4 record, ACC. I guess that's good enough to probably get in, the tournament at this point. It's trending that way, but again, they could slip as well, especially when they're not getting a lot of teams in. But I tend to agree with you. I think they got a proven coach. I don't see them falling apart per se. I think Florida State more so than they are. And I know Florida State lost one of the best players, so he's out for the year. So, that's going to hurt them even worse. So, I guess we will see. What do you think, Steve, on Miami?
Kind of tough to tell with Miami. They're, like I said, they steamrolled Carolina, which is no big deal right now. But I don't know. I really think they're probably locked in at number 5. I don't think they're going to get in that top 3. I really don't. I think they're locked in.
Hard to get.
I don't see them. Unless Virginia loses that momentum, I don't see them getting above Virginia. Wake's playing great, and then Notre Dame. They lost to Notre Dame, of course, and then, of course, we got that other team sitting up there. But we're being realistic. I don't, and I may be wrong, but I just don't. I think Miami has got as far as they're going to get, as high as they're going to get. I think number 5 is probably about right for them.
I think one of the more interesting games of the weekend is Miami against Wake, because Miami beat them recently, and so that'll tell you. Yeah. And again, you guys know this. In college basketball, I think more than anything else, it comes down to your guards. And so if you have 3 reliable starting guards that you can count on every night, that gives you an advantage. They do. I didn't, some of their second teamers, I thought there was a pretty steep drop off. Now that just means I think their starters are pretty good. Yeah. But I just think that that matchup this weekend will probably impact kind of how we're thinking. That's coming right up. So
definitely,
that'll be an interesting outcome there to watch, to see. Okay, we've talked on this show. Wake Forest having a heck of a year. I didn't see that coming.
We didn't see that coming either.
But Miami, again, Miami's, you could probably say the same thing. They're having a great year. You maybe not based on where it was last year, but with some of the transfers and things that Larinaga brought in there, I think they're a solid team, and so I wouldn't expect them to fall off too much.
Yeah, it's that 4 or 5 area. I don't see them taking a nosedive and probably holding firm, but I don't see them jumping to the top 2 or 3 either. But you're right. That's going to be a really interesting game to watch. Well, let's get to real important one here. We got kind of the expert, Virginia, who, listen, let's be honest, Virginia started off pretty rough this year, and but nobody. Chris wasn't panicking, and I wouldn't panic either as a Virginia fan, because in the day you got Tony Bennett sitting over there as a coach. So
I will not say Chris wasn't panicking a little bit. Some of the texts I saw, there may be a little bit of panic there.
But you knew at some point, and maybe you're a little concerned this year it could get fixed, but it's going to get fixed. And I'm surprised. Honestly, after the, State was hot when they played Virginia. It was a good night for us, but Virginia just didn't show up, and it's towards the tail end of the season. That's kind of when I had already expect them to turn the corner. And then when I see them blow out Miami, like you said, something clicked. And Clark, to me, that Duke game, he was amazing. He just, something seems to have, he's just taken on the put it over on his shoulders, and he's moving forward like everybody kind of thought he would. So what's the difference right now, Chris?
Yeah, there's a few things that I've noticed, and I've been to a couple of games down at JPJ. My head was in my hands a few times, like, what is going on? Because there's some solid principles about Tony Bennett's teams that I just didn't see early on in the year. Like you said, we were turning the ball over a ton. And I was seeing these weren't forced. I mean, one thing if, Stevie's on you and you throw a bad pass, these were like unforced, just throwing the ball to the front of the stands. And I was like, what were they looking at? What was going on? And I think that it just took us a while to find out our identity. And I think the identity we have is what we showed versus Miami and Duke, which is we're a tough, hard-nosed team inside. And what really drives us, you mentioned Kihei, is being aggressive. If I see Kihei hesitate and sort of pump fake, I'm like, uh-oh, that's not a good sign. When I see him driving, that's when he can create some things. And you've seen it kind of rub off on Beekman as well.
Yeah.
And so when I see those guys slash into the hoop, they're finding the inside guys. We're not kicking it out to Kyle Guy anymore, hitting threes. We really don't have a great 3-point shooting team. And early on in the year, I think we were trying to do that. Franklin from Indiana, the transfer we have, I think last year he shot like 40% from three. But if you look at his career, it really wasn't a 40% shooter. But as I look at it too, they're getting good shots. These are open looks that they're just missing. And so I think if maybe it took a while to figure out what the identity was, but I thought we were really tough those last two games. And as a fan, I love seeing that. I mean, it's not, I don't know how closely you guys watch the game, but it's not very often that Tony Bennett gets a technical foul, but he did. I mean, he was fired up.
I love it.
Right? All game. I mean, there, and I know that.
Well, your bench almost, I thought your bench was going to go in. The assistant coaches were going to go at it with the Duke assistant coaches. That was going to go down to blows. Like, it was intense. I loved it.
So that, I mean, that I, as a fan, again, you feed off of that. I think the team fed off that. And you mentioned those big moments. I mean, Cameron was going crazy because we were up, and then look, give Duke credit, they fought back. But we had an answer every time. And what it was the easy dunk or the pass off down low, because trying to hit a three in that environment, we were 1 for 11 from three before the shot that won it. So that shows you, those aren't the shots you wanted to take at that point. So I think we found our identity a little bit. I love the aggression from the guards. Jaden Gardner is he's money from about 15 feet in. And so, you saw Duke change up their D. They were going man, then they were going zone, and we had an answer for it every time. And, I think I texted you, Billy, early on. I thought that maybe Banchero was going to be a problem for Gardner because he's athletic, and there was early on in the game, give Paolo credit. He put Gardner on his pants with a move, but he missed a shot. But after that, I mean, Jaden just D'd up. And that was, to me, that's been the difference. The aggressive the aggressive nature on both offense and defense. And I think it caught Miami off guard that night. And then, Duke, that was just a hard fought game back and forth. Keels from Duke was a big UVA recruit. We came down to us and Duke, and I think one other, and so watching him go down back and forth at the end of the game, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just had to get this win, But you mentioned the final play, Billy. It's interesting. Inside you think about these sequences, right? We had a tie up off a miss to get the ball in that case, right? So we had the possession arrow. They came out in a defense with Williams on the ball against Kihei, and we had to call timeout.
Yeah.
And then you switch it up, and the play wasn't drawn up for Beekman, but they lost him in the chaos. And Beekman's he's not a sharpshooter, but man, and I'll say it was an and one. I think you guys saw that
Absolutely.
too. I mean, he got absolutely hacked. But it was just.
Why do you think he didn't get that call, Billy?
Do what?
Why do you think he didn't get that call?
Listen,
why?
That wasn't the only call the whole game. Virginia got mauled the whole game.
Why, Billy?
Cameron is.
There's another team in blue that gets the benefit of the doubt.
Krzyzewski does. I mean, absolutely. And they did that game. Now, I will say That jump ball was a bit debatable. They called jump ball pretty fast on that, so you guys definitely got an advantage on that one. But other than that, it was hack, and no foul call. And Duke, I mean, it was a pretty poorly rough game. It was pretty clear it was awful.
It was
And
a
if you got
hostile
Bennett,
environment on both sides. I mean,
yeah.
everybody was fired up,
Everybody.
So
Yeah, you're right. You don't see Bennett like that much, but
and he was like that all game. It wasn't just like
was.
one thing and he cooled off. I mean, he was working the officials, and rightfully so.
But you have to, or you're going to get owned by
Right,
Stefan.
exactly.
And he's
As
got
the
respect. He's
coach-
got a national championship. So
As a coach, there are times when you need, like you said, get that technical called. There are times when you need to do that, something like that. I can't get a technical call in football, but I remember the first penalty I got called as a coach, and it was nothing but, late hit on the sideline. We get called for a late hit when the guy wasn't even out of bounds. My quarterback goes out of bounds. He's like a foot out of bounds. 3 guys hit him, no flag. And I was like, dude, there's got to be a flag on that. You got to call it both ways. And he was just standing there like a statue. And then I said, well, here it goes right here. I've always heard about it. Here it goes. I'm going to have my moment right here. I said, I tell you what, I bet you didn't even bring your flag tonight. That's why you must be, because you haven't thrown one all night. And I saw him reaching for it. And that's when he said, and you know what? And I was proud of myself because I said, good. Now that I know you got one, how about using it? And, after that, never had a problem with the guy the rest of the night. Fired up, because the whole team looked at me like they couldn't believe it. Like, this is my second year coaching. They were looking at me like, and it kind of got them fired up a little bit. But, sometimes you have to do that.
Bennett, I'm sure everything's calculated with Bennett, and I'm sure that was.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's one of the smartest coaches out there.
He is. Huge win though for Virginia, and just builds on momentum. So great job. So where does Virginia go from here? Do they get a couple great wins? Do they ride that momentum, or what do you think?
Yeah, that's my question for Chris. I don't want you to jinx anything because I know how I can be superstitious. But do you think this week has been these last couple of games has been the turnaround for Virginia? You think this momentum, they're going to ride this momentum?
I think we do. And the reason why is because we have that identity. I see Armin Franklin stepping up and saying, I want to guard their best player. And he has. Like I said, he was guarding McGusty. He was switching off between Bancaro and some of the other Duke guards, Wendell Moore. He was really out there. And I think that, we've talked about this sort of offline. When I think about recently who Bennett's gotten the most out of as players, it's those red shirts, those guys that learn the system for a year. And nowadays in college basketball, you don't have that luxury. I mean, it's transfer portal. We got some great players coming in, but they didn't have that year to learn. And so now I think that they're getting it. And, when I see that and I see the camaraderie around the team, I'm thinking this is different. This is not the team. And Bennett even said, we didn't play not to lose. And that's what I was talking about, the aggressive factor. They played to win. They played to just beat Duke up and take, whether it was being called or not, taking those shots. That was tough. So I think you build on it. But again, I've seen this so far this year, but I think it's a different team now than the team that got blown out by Clemson, got blown out by NC State. But we've got an interesting weekend. We've got Georgia Tech. Last season, we had two really great games against Georgia Tech, where Georgia Tech had us and we pulled it out at the end. And then we've got
against a really good Georgia Tech team,
right? And then we've got Virginia Tech on Monday in Blacksburg.
Whoa,
so
revenge.
that's gonna be an interesting matchup. So look, you can't take any nights off, but I'm much more confident today, knowing that the team has an identity. They know that they've got to work inside out and then back inside again, because you can't shoot still. It's just you can't rely on the outside shot.
That's one of the things after some of these losses you told me, we text back and forth. You said, we don't know who we are. And, now you feel like they've got that identity. And this could be this could be the turning point for Virginia right here.
Mm-hmm.
So, Chris, going in that Duke game, and someone said, "Hey, Virginia's going to make 2 3-pointers." What odds do you give yourself of winning?
Not very. I mean, I wouldn't say very good odds. You know, but I also wouldn't have said if you had told me we'd score over 50 points in the paint. I wouldn't have. I maybe wouldn't have expected that either. But that's what I'm saying, and I think Stevie, it's on both sides.
Yeah,
we've got an offensive and defensive identity. Everybody's bought in. You know, for the longest time, Bennett was playing like 10 guys. He was trying to figure. You know, he was his trial and error. You know, now he's shortened the rotation. We know who we are, and just go play that brand of basketball. I think you can do that with the group that you've got out there.
How much do you attribute that to Clark? I mean, I just watched him. He's playing at the level, you know, he's capable of playing. And
sure. I mean, he's a leader,
so
right?
fun to watch when he's playing that way.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's early in the year. I didn't see that.
No,
I saw the hesitation and the pump fakes. And I'm like, just shoot the shot, make the drive. Cause that's where you create for others.
Right.
And I think that, you know, he's the leader. There's no question. He was the smallest guy in the huddle, but he's the leader. And he's pulling, you know, he's getting the most out of this group. Cause I think they're watching him and saying, okay, we can, you know, we're going to support Kihei here.
Well, watching him, I think it's taken him a while to develop into that, actually. And I mean, maybe just because he hadn't been the guy before, now he is the guy. But it seems like he's feeling more comfortable with that now.
I'd say these last season and then this year, you know, certainly this year, I think more unquestioned than last year. You still had some continuity. This year, it's, you know, pretty much a whole new slate of guys behind Clark and Beekman.
Yeah.
You know, transfers and some of these other guys. So it's been, but it'll go through him. And I think that, you know, Bennett, just by the way, he is who he was as a player. That's who he connects with. I mean, it wasn't an accident that, you know, that Kihei decommitted, right, from what was it, Cal Long Beach, and came to UVA, the shortest guard that Bennett had ever recruited. So that's it's a great story. I like I said, when he's aggressive, you know, he had a shot. I can't remember which game it was. Had a shot to win it, and it rimmed out. And I said, "Hey, you know, you're getting in the lane, and sometimes you miss them, but get in there. You know, that at least gives you a chance."
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's move on to Wake Forest, who is, you know, definitely a surprise team this year, right? So, you know, we talked, you know, a little bit about the transfer portal, and you know, Wake Forest has got a new, second year. I guess Forbes second year at Wake Forest this year. So he used that portal beautifully this year. Brought in some great guys. They've got chemistry. It's really interesting. I was watching the press conference from the last night's game against Wake Forest, and State just, I don't know what happened the last 3 minutes. I kind of do, but anyway. But when they're talking to Keats, they did not scoring and let them score. So Keats, you know, they're asking him about Forbes and how he's been able to use the portal, and you know, Keats was like, well, sometimes you get it, you get chemistry, sometimes you don't. It's more than that. He's a good coach, and he's used it extremely well. And one of the other questions I got asked is this kind of the future where things are going? And I believe it is. And what coach can use that portal the best way? Yeah. And how quick it's amazing how quick you can turn around a team from being, you know, not good at all to actually pretty darn good if you got, I guess, the right coach and the right players coming in. And it is a bit of the chemistry. I mean, sometimes it's going to gel, sometimes it's not. It's going to be really quick. But you know, Wake Forest to me is kind of like, you know, Georgia Tech last year. I didn't see Georgia Tech surging the way they did last year. Wake Forest is kind of doing the same thing this year. I think they were projected 13 in the conference. And here they're sitting, you know, towards the top. You know, the question is it, you know, are they for real? I mean, it's a little bit like the football team, right, for Wake Forest this year. Everybody's like, but it's Wake Forest, right? I mean, they're at the top of the football, but it's still it. But they kept winning. And it seems like this team's doing the same thing. So last night was probably maybe the second or third time I really watched really close. And honestly, I wasn't very impressed most of the game. And State was playing terrible. But Wake Forest was playing terrible. It's just a bad game across the board. It's a 2 to 3 point game going towards the end. Then all of a sudden, Wake Forest just went off, and I go, "Oh, okay, that's the gear they have that they can put down on people." And I was really impressed with that piece, but I still have some questions. I think it's gonna, you mentioned the Miami Wake Forest game coming up. I think that's going to be something that's going to really show. But every time they seem challenged, they've kind of risen to the challenge so far. But I got to say, I'm really impressed. No, actually, 20th. They hit their 20th win last night. That's pretty darn impressive. And sitting 10-4 in the ACC, solid. They're in a great position right now. So thoughts on Wake Forest?
Like Chris said earlier, it's going to be the telltale sign is probably going to be the Miami game this weekend, and that'll tell you where they're at because they came up big with it. Wake Forest. Like we said, we didn't pick them to be in the top 10. I don't think, Billy.
No, absolutely not.
We were talking about, this is going to be his first year. It's going to be a tough year. He's proved us wrong every time. But from now till we're on March Madness Eve right now. From now until the rest of the regular season, it's going to be test after test for Wake Forest. And you're right. You made a good point, Billy. The Wake Forest football team was the same way. It's Wake Forest though. It's been a long time since we've seen a consistently good Wake Forest basketball team. Is this for real? 20 wins, that's great, but can they keep it up for the rest of the season? You're gonna have. I'm sure they'll be playing Duke again. I don't have their schedule in front of me. Can they compete with the big dogs? That's going to be the thing for Wake, and the key right now, take it one, not to be like a cliche, but take it one game at a time. And that Miami game, you need to be on point at Miami. So, you need to be on point with that. Do I think they're for real? I'm about 75% that Wake's for real, that Wake can compete with the big boys. Do I think they can take out Duke? I mean, anything's possible, but I don't think 9 out of 10 times, I think Duke beats them. But they're a team on the rise. Just like you said, using that transfer portal. With these schools like the ACC schools, the power conference schools, are the days of having a team with guys that are starters for 3 years over? Is this the way we're going with the transfer portal? You look at like teams like the only really 2 teams I can think of off the top of my head that have got starters that have been there for more than a couple of years are the 2 teams that were in the finals last year, Gonzaga and Baylor. I mean, you look at Gonzaga. Gonzaga's got a 5-year starter. They've got several 3-year starters. Baylor, same way. Is this a sign of the times, though? If it is, I'm telling you guys, it's a sad time for me. I like the 3-year starters. I like the guys that have chemistry with each other, that know, and I think it's a sad time. People may give me a hard time, but transfer portal to me, we've talked about that, Billy. I think it's going to be one of the downfalls of college basketball, but you got to do what you got to do with it. I mean, you got to make the best of it. As a coach, I don't blame the guy. If he wants to recruit, instead of going like recruiting high school players and recruit out of the transfer portal, more power to him. You got to do what you got to do. I don't have a fault with it, but to say I like the transfer portal, no. But Wake, we'll see. We'll see this weekend.
We'll see. And you mentioned their upcoming schedule, Stevie. You got Miami, then Duke, and then Notre Dame. So you've got the 3 other teams. So that'll tell you, again, over the stretch, how they are. But I think that they're a confident team. I honestly, I think they're disrespected. They should be ranked. I don't think you can say that they're not a top 25 in the nation team.
Absolutely.
And I just think that, again, it's because the ACC is quote unquote down this year and that sort of thing. But hey, you got to win the games that are on your schedule, and they've done that. And like you said, Forbes has gotten a lot out of, maybe not the most heralded transfers, but he's got them playing well. And like you said, Billy, they played 35 minutes of mediocre basketball, but they knew that they had that last 5 minutes, and that means a lot to a team, right? North Carolina is searching for that, but when you have that you can't really quantify, but that really helps. And I see a lot of that in Wake Forest this year. So, I mean, but again, the next 3 games, if that'll tell us quite a bit about where they're heading.
I think we'll know, but at the end of the day, hey, I think Forrest's proven he's a pretty solid coach and is a great hire, and they're on the rise. So good for them. I mean, hey, Wake Forest is, we talked Tobacco Road here, so Wake Forest is Tobacco Road. So I am kind of glad to see them getting better, and be part of the conversation again. I don't like when they beat State, but it happens. So Notre Dame. Now, Stevie, you and I, as the season started, we were.
I know exactly what you want to say.
I know. You had Bray on a hot seat. I don't know. Listen, I'm pretty sure I said, listen, they got a lot of older guys. They're in a position to peak and make a turn, but both of us weren't sure of what they were going to do. Hey, so far Notre Dame has been playing really good. Kind of what I had said at the beginning of the season is, they go through rotations. Notre Dame is built on a system. If Bray's got a system, every 3 to 4 years, they're going to peak and have a really good team. Now, what's different this year is not all the older players. They've got young players, actually, who are actually performing really well. Probably one of the best freshmen in the conference right now. Legit. I mean, what are they sitting? 10-3 right now in conference, 16-7. They're playing really great basketball. I guess what they got coming up this week, I guess they got Louisville. No, they played Louisville and won last night. Sorry. And Saturday at Clemson, very winnable game coming up there. So what do you guys think about Notre Dame? Chris, we'll bounce it off to you first.
Yeah, I think 1 through 5, they're very balanced, strong. Like you said, they've got some older players, they've got some shooters, they've got some height, got some speed. One thing that I think is interesting about the team is they probably have the shortest rotation in college basketball. I mean, Bray does not play. If he plays 7 guys, he must have foul trouble, because I think he'd like to play 6. Yeah. So the question is, how long can that last? But I do think that they present a lot of problems with just veteran playmakers. Wesley, again, like you said, one of the top freshmen in the league and in the country probably. He hasn't. I will say this: he hasn't been electric lately. He's been missing some shots, but he definitely has a gear that's hard to find. But yeah, I mean, they can beat you a number of different ways. They shoot free throws really well, which matters in these tight games. They've got a couple of sharpshooters. So I think, again, when you look at their attack, they're balanced. I was frustrated in the win they had against us because we just let them get out to too big of a lead and then turned it on too late. But I think they're beatable, but they're also a balanced team. And again, I worry a little bit about that short rotation in terms of how that can be handled long term. But again, starting 5, very balanced, veteran, with good attributes.
Now, and I'm gonna butcher his name, so I'm not even gonna try, but it starts with a K. But one of the better players, he got injured against State, and he's actually sat out last night. I don't know if you can pronounce the guy's name. I can't.
Lashewski? Are you talking about?
Yes,
Nate?
that's it.
Just call him Nate.
Nate. All right, good.
He's like, what, 7-footer? Yeah.
Yes.
He presents some problems. Yeah.
So, but he's injured. So I don't know how severe the injury is or how long he's going to be out. But now he's been out 2 games. But they still won last night. But you're right, they're not deep. So, hopefully he can get back for their sake. And because I think that would hurt him in the long run. They don't get him back. So interesting to see how that injury plays out. So Stevie, what do you think? Think Brady's okay with his job?
Let me ask you guys this. Do you think Notre Dame's a better team than Wake Forest?
I do, actually.
Judging from what you've seen.
Yeah,
you think so?
I think so.
Okay.
From what I've seen, Stevie, just call it 1 through 7. I would say yes. Does that mean that, they beat Wake Forest 6 times out of 10, and that qualifies as better? Then maybe so. I mean, I think that they've got a good mix of, you were just talking about having 3-year starters. I mean, I don't know that anybody has any more than that than Notre Dame does.
Yeah, Notre Dame. That's the one thing I like about Notre Dame. That's one thing I do like about Notre Dame is they've got experience, and I think that's why you look at their schedule and look at some of the wins they've got. I mean, they beat Kentucky. And I think that had a lot to do with experience. That's the difference. That's what I'm giving them the edge over Wake Forest because of experience. But I'm looking at their schedule, what they've done over here, and the Kentucky wins. That's a good win, but you lost to Boston College.
Right. There's some head scratchers, Stevie.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to figure it out. I mean, I think, look, every team in the ACC, maybe with the exception of Duke, had to sort of figure it out, and Wake Forest
I
didn't have
think
the
that's a good point. Yeah,
Can somebody talk to Kevin Keats and help him figure it out for me, please?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say anything more about that, Bill. I'm not going to give you a hard time with him tonight. But I think Chris, you make a good point. That's a lot of the things in the ACC right now. People are still trying to figure it out, and it may be like that across a lot of of course the SEC is not having a problem figuring it out. But you look at a team like UCLA. UCLA was up there near the top, and then they've had a kind of a rough spell, But I think with this transfer portal, when I bring up that bad word again, but I think it's taken a lot of teams a while to figure out. Virginia being a prime example. Virginia's hopefully for Chris has got it figured out, and hopefully he'll be our best shot at taking out Duke again, because I don't think either one of us are going to take Duke out anytime soon. But stranger things have happened. But as far as Notre Dame goes, experience is helping them a lot. And, I may have said Bray was on the hot seat, but I guess his seat is safe for one more year until next year when I say Bray might be on the hot seat again. But
maybe he must have changed chairs with Keats, because now Keats is solely on the hot seat. So
Keats' seat is not hot.
It is not even more. It's hot.
They've got gas turned up under that seat, like it's like a fish fry there. He's getting really warm.
I'm even about to turn on him, and I've been square with him. But so interesting to know, I know we've got Duke at number 1 on the power ranking, but right now Notre Dame holds the tie. So Notre Dame is number 1 in the ACC right now.
Yeah.
With the win last night. So,
but that's the thing. That's the thing, though, with this Duke team. And I'm not saying, you can call it what you want to, Billy, because I want to take a shot at Duke. But Notre Dame is number 1 in the ACC. But who are we hearing to talk about all the time? Duke Blue Devils. Duke Blue Devils. It's not Zion. It's not Zion TV this year, but it's daggum, it is what it is. And granted, I'm not gonna, and I want to say this. I want to go on record saying this because I'm surprised you didn't bring it up, Billy. This Carolina game by some Carolina fans last week about Coach K, about I think there was some Coach K's and all this stuff. Totally disrespectful and wrong. As much as I don't really care for the guy, I respect the guy enough where I wouldn't do anything like that. But that's just childish crap, and people need to get over it. But I'll say this: I think worse things have been said to opposing coaches coming in Cameron, and nobody ever said a word.
I think there's some things said, but they get away with a lot.
What do you think about that, Billy?
Listen, you act like I'm still a big Duke fan. I'm not a defender of Duke, so I'm not. But I'm also gonna not defend Carolina either. So I'm definitely going to.
I don't want you.
I'm happy.
I really don't want you to defend Carolina.
Yeah. Well, so right now, listen. End of the day, Duke's got some highly talented recruits, and they're good. They're legit. So they're going to be, and they're Duke. They got a lot of national championships hanging up right now.
But
They're Duke. It's Krzyzewski's last year. They're going to get all the attention in the world. You know that's going to happen.
but they're highly touted. They came into this year just like they want you. You know, no need for anybody else to play in the ACC. Duke's got this wrapped up. That's the thing that's got me right now, because you know you got a team like Virginia, and I'm not blowing smoke up Chris's butt or anything, but a team like Virginia that comes in there and takes you out. And do you really think, in your eyes, that Duke is this unbeatable machine in the ACC right now?
When they played Carolina a little while back, they looked like it because they drummed Carolina pretty hard.
Well, I mean, if they beat us by 20.
It could have been 30. It could have been 30.
You guys by like 20, and we're
Uh-huh.
up by like 30 some on y'all. So that means they should beat y'all by about 50.
Here's
Well,
the
they
thing.
did. They've only beat us by about 8 at Cameron. So
I mean, the
So
thing
We haven't
about
played at Cameron.
the thing about
Yeah.
Duke right now is they've got 4 losses this year. I think their total point differential is probably 10. I mean, we beat them on the last shot. I think Florida State beat them on the last shot.
Miami.
So Miami beat them. I mean, so
Yeah.
they're not. And if you look at their resume just throughout the year, I mean, they've beaten. they obviously they took Gonzaga. I mean, they
Yeah.
have a lot of quality wins. I mean, they're Duke, right? They're a good, really good basketball team. But
I'm
are they
not looking-
unbeatable? No. But
I'm not looking at them like they're the like some Duke teams I've looked at before. There's some Duke teams, the years with Leitner and Hurley and Brian David Grant Hill. They're not one of those teams that I'm looking at like, oh gosh, there's no way we're going to beat Duke. They're not one of them teams, even with what these recruits. And I mean, I know they're young and all, but I don't see Duke contending for a national championship. I'm sorry to end the Coach K.
I mean, listen, I'll be
saga.
honest. I disagree with that. I mean, you don't think they're number 7 in the country right now?
I didn't say I didn't think they were number 7 in the country. I said I don't see them contending for a national title. I think
Number
there's too many
7 in the
teams.
country, they'd be contending for a title.
I think there's too many teams ahead of them that are stronger than they are
Maybe.
and more and can put them out. I don't.
Who's dominant team? Who's the dominant team this year? Gonzaga's.
No, I'm not talking about dominant. I'm just saying these teams ahead of them are stronger.
Well,
They got Gonzaga. They beat Gonzaga, but early on in the year, I'm telling you, you watch.
Duke's got nothing but better since they played that game.
Words 2:10, 22, 8:47 p.m. Duke will not make it to the Final Four.
Well,
you
Final
guys
Four is a
froze
big.
up on
That's a heavy lift. Getting to
But
the
you
Final Four is a big deal.
though, you just said they're number 7 in the nation, and when I said they don't make the Final Four, well, that's a heavy lift. But
Well, you're saying they're not contending for a national championship. I think
They're not. If I don't think they're going to make the Final Four, I sure don't think they're going to contend for a national championship.
Well, I think they very well could be in the Final Four.
Mark my words, Billy
So,
Parker.
Chris,
You know
here we
me-
go. Here we go
know me
again.
for a long
You're our
time.
tiebreaker. What do you think?
I mean, I think the key to Duke is AJ Griffin. When AJ Griffin is shooting the way that he can, I think they get into unbeatable territory. Now against us, he did not have a good game.
No.
And that exposed, and so even a team that good, when you're losing when you miss a key piece, that contribution, they weren't able to overcome that particular game. But if I look at it, up and down, I think that they are built to go to the Final Four. When I just look at some of the talent that they've got there, and again, the reality is we look at the ACC, but all of college basketball is. It's been a wacky year as it always is, but I look at that as a Final Four ball club.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let me ask you guys this. We're talking about how down the ACC is, right? Okay, and there's how many conferences ahead of us, Billy? Did we talk about like 4 or 5 conferences ahead of us?
5 conferences ahead of.
So
ACC.
Duke's ranked number 2. Do you think Duke's number 2 in the ACC right now? Do you think Duke as a number 2 could beat any of these other conferences number 1, consistently?
Consistently depends on the conference.
I don't know if that team could then beat Duke consistently.
Right.
Because
it's going to be a whole different environment when March comes, and
you don't think Duke's prepared for March? You don't think Krzyzewski's prepared for March?
Krzyzewski
All right, man.
Listen to me. Krzyzewski may be, but what are any of these guys? And Billy's gonna say, well, he wants to take a shot at Duke anytime. But watching these guys, I have not seen anything special. They beat Carolina by 20. So did Miami.
Dude, did you watch the Carolina game?
I watched the Carolina.
It was more than a 20-point loss. It's one of those games you watch and go, they were dominated from tip off to buzzer across the board. And not only Carolina, they dominated Wake Forest.
What is your thoughts on Carolina though, Billy? And be honest with me, not just that you're a state fan.
They're hot or cold. They're hot or cold. Listen,
okay.
I wouldn't be shocked. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't be shocked if Carolina goes in and gives Duke a game. I don't think they'll beat
They
Duke.
might give them a game, but they're not.
But I think they'll give them a game. It won't be a blowout again. It's just a weird, like Chris said, it's a weird, wacky year. But listen, I'm not. You're not defending Duke, I don't. They're legitimately a solid team.
I think Duke's a Final Four team.
They might not. I think they could be
Final Four.
I think they could be.
That's fine. I mean, we agree to disagree.
I hope we at least have one team in the ACC that could be a Final Four team. And for the sake of the conference.
I don't see it happening, bud. I
really
don't see it happening this year.
But they're about our best shot probably at this point. So I
don't think so either. I'm not blowing smoke up Chris's butt, but watch out for Virginia, bud. I'm telling you.
You got to get in the
I don't want to jinx anything, but
they still got some work to do.
Tony Bennett, what's the difference between Tony Bennett's national championship and
he's got one.
Tony Bennett's done.
And Bennett may have just as many before it's over with. Don't get me wrong. But you can say whatever you want about K. You can't argue his record.
I'm not denying anything that K's done. I got total respect for Coach K as far as what he does as a basketball coach. But why are you going to be so quick to shrug off Virginia?
I'm not. You're going to lose some games in the ACC. It was a good win.
I think from my perspective, Stevie, if I look at the body of work and I look at what, again, just to this point, and did we just have a great win over Duke and a great win over Miami? Yes. But Virginia, we had some really bad losses early on.
I'm saying, you just said, though, you guys got your identity now. You know who you are. True. You know what you can do. You're on a hot streak. Is it better to start off the first part of the season on a hot streak, or to start off or to end up in February and March on a hot streak? Which would you rather do?
I'd rather be in this position, right?
Ask Derek Wittenberg, Billy.
It wouldn't be hot now. You're telling me Duke's not playing better ball now than they were in the beginning of the season?
I haven't seen it, bud.
I don't think they beat
Gonzaga. They beat Gonzaga the first part of the year.
Listen, they lost to Virginia. That was a bad loss. Other than that, they're pretty much dominating. So
it's not a dominant. It's a down ACC season.
Okay.
And Duke may be dominating the ACC, but overall, to me, it's not a dominant Duke team.
Oh, it might not be teams that pass, but they're good, solid basketball team. So there's no way we can. I don't know how you can argue that. And I think they're getting better. I think they're also getting better as the season goes. I don't know.
Not gonna make the Final Four.
They probably will make the Final Four. That's hard to do.
Oh my gosh! Why are you flip flopping? 1 minute you say
contend for a national championship.
They are.
I don't think
Duke's going to be a national.
Could they? Yeah.
And then I say, what?
Could they contend for the national champion? Yes. Is it likely they make the Final Four? I don't know if it's likely they make the Final Four. Contending and being in the Final Fours, that's two big differences.
Okay.
Carolina makes the Sweet 16. Do you think they're contending for a national championship?
No.
I don't know, man. You
Did
get
I
Sweet
say
16,
that? No.
eight.
Did I say anything about the Sweet 16? I said Duke's not a Final Four team.
All
Duke
right,
may make it to the Elite Eight, but not Final Four.
All right. Well, it's still a pretty good team. They get Elite Eight. So, but we will see. I can't believe I have to defend Duke. I don't want to be.
I said they were a good team, Bill. Great team.
Well, right now, so we got Duke sitting at number 1 on the power rankings, but not number 1 in the conference.
You should have went to school to be a lawyer. You're fussing over stupid crap.
I know. Why am I arguing about Duke? They're not even.
I don't know, really.
You're biased. So
no, I'm not biased.
No, you're definitely biased.
If there's anybody biased on this conversation, it's you after the social media crap last year.
Oh my goodness. It made for a good show.
That's going to ruin your legacy, Billy. That's
going to be, you're tarnished forever. I will never forget that.
I know. I'm tarnished. So, well, Roy can do all the social media he wants while he's retired. So that's fine. So, well, let's shift gears. We've gone through our power rankings. Stevie's piled on Duke pretty hard, which is
look. Let me just say this. Let me get this out of the way right now. Do I think Duke's a good team? Yeah, they're a good team. They should be a good team. What's the difference between me saying that and you down in Carolina all the time? They got all that talent.
I'm not down in Carolina all the time. When did I down Carolina?
Lord. Okay, move on, Billy.
Next God. All right. So, we have got the guru of college basketball, Chris Andresen. I want to see how good he really is. So we want to throw a little predictions at him coming up this weekend of what we've got for his games. So let me pull this stuff up really quick and see what we've got coming up. So this weekend schedule starting with, what do we got this weekend? You guys have the list. I'm trying to get mine to pop up.
I mean, the first game I think is FSU North and UNC on Saturday.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So we got first game is Florida State against Carolina. Chris, we'll open up with you. I'm not even going to go with a point spread. I'm just going straight out win. Who's gonna win that one?
I'm going to go Carolina. And I just think that FSU, maybe if it was anybody else in the top tier against Carolina, they'd have a better shot. But FSU, I think they're struggling. And hot and cold with UNC, I think maybe they catch some fire Saturday afternoon, Chapel Hill.
So you got,
I'm sitting here thinking, and that's really the only way Carolina wins 2 in a row right now. You can tell I'm not real confident on Carolina right now. The only way they get 2 in a row is because you've got a struggling Florida State team that's dealing with injuries. Carolina probably gets the win here. I'll go with that. Maybe their first 2-game win streak in a long time.
Yeah, so the game's at Chapel Hill, and and Florida State loses a big man. I think Carolina's going to actually play pretty well. I got Carolina winning, and actually kind of winning convincingly. So we're all 3 Carolina, huh? See, yeah. I can roll with Carolina.
Well, we just lost.
No, good. All right, next game. Oh boy, they're talking about the bottom of the barrel here. We got the Pack playing Pitt. So, I was talking about Cable being in trouble with his job. Again, Keats he's probably safe, I guess. I mean, listen, they've had, you're talking about a small bench. I think we have 8 scholarship players we got left at this point. So we've definitely had our share of injuries and things happening, but we got enough players on the court to win, and they're not winning. So State is going to be at Pitt. What do you guys think? You're not going to hurt my feelings.
I mean, this is a tough one.
It just won a game.
Go ahead, Chris.
I mean, I think that NC State is a better team than Pitt. So I'll give them the edge on the road.
Wow.
So to get right spot for them.
All right. Thanks for the love, Chris. Oh, nice, Stevie. Nice. See?
Just so you say, Billy, I'm not biased.
I love it.
Anyway, I would say this, Billy. If you guys lose this game, then you're probably looking for another coach soon. That being said, I think State gets the win. But if you lose to Pitt, and with everything else that's going on with the way they've been playing, I think it's going to be about time that you start looking for a new coach.
Let's put it this way: it's a good thing Keith to lock down one of the top recruits in the country is coming in a year from now, because I think that's saving him a little bit. Keats will stay if he gets the players.
Well, yeah, that'll probably help.
It'll help, but if the players leave, you lose. You lose if Bates goes, if Sebron goes. I don't know how long Baby T is going to stay. He's screwed. If those guys stay, and he can keep the nucleus together, the team, and with the injuries he's had this year, I think he buys another year. I mean, I think he'll get another year regardless. But the heat is on strong. Again, if I'm putting pressure on him, it's bad. Because Chris knows I've been in his corner, right, Chris? I mean, I've been soloing Keith's corner, but it's hard to defend. Again, there, look at this. There you go. So back when they used to wear suits when they coached.
What happened to that? What happened to that? Really?
Yeah. Hey, I guess they're going for comfort, man. So at this
nobody
point,
does that anymore.
I know. I know. No one. So at this point, I'll be honest. They're struggling. They can't hit shots. As far as an identity, they haven't found one. They're not going to find it at Pitt either. And Pitt just got to win. I think Pitt's more on a positive, momentum. State's going to lose that game. And maybe lose 5, 10, 15, which is tough because, listen, State's had a tough year, but having got blown up, they got blown out by Carolina. No question about it. That was horrible. Beyond that, even the Wake Forest game last night, I don't know what happened the last 4 or 5 minutes. I know what happened, but that was close up to that point. They just cannot finish games. So they're not like far off, but they got to figure something out. But I don't think it's going to happen against Pitt. I think they're going to lose, and we will be the bottom of the barrel at that point. So so you guys actually both picked State, and I picked Pitt. I'm a jerk. I didn't support my guys. I'll be pulling for them hard.
I've done it so many times, Billy. You're trying to do reverse psychology.
I am. Chris would do that too. So hopefully that works. I'll be pulling for him. So after that, we got Miami at Wake Forest. We talked about that a little bit earlier. So this is a cool one. So it's at Wake Forest. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Is it at Wake Forest or at Miami?
It's at Wake.
At Wake Forest.
I think that they're two evenly matched teams, and in that case, I think Miami got them earlier. I'm gonna go with Wake here to get the split back. Again, I just think it's a confident ball club, and being at home given edge. But I just think, again, evenly matched. So I would just say they got a split in the season series and give this one to Wake.
I'm going Wake too. I feel the same way Chris does. They're a confident group right now. This will be one of those key wins right here, and they know that. I think Wake knows that, and I think they're a pumped up team right now. And to beat Miami will put them up another notch. Yeah, I think it's Wake's time right now. Okay, go ahead, Billy. You want to pick Miami? I know.
I am, guys. I'm going Miami. So listen, I do think Wake Forest has turned a corner. I think they got a really good basketball team. I mentioned the other day when they played Duke and it got beat pretty bad, but the environment at Wake Forest was rocking again. It was fun to watch. I think it is going to be a really good environment for them, but I think Miami gets the win. You mentioned Moore earlier, Chris. That dude knows how to win. I mean, he is an assassin back there with the final shot. I think they're going to find a way to win. I think they're going to right the ship and push through. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. I think we all need to tune into that one. I think it's going to be super close. I think Miami gets the edge, but we will see. We will see. Stevie rolls his eyes, I know. But so Georgia Tech
against the grain.
Georgia Tech, Virginia. I think we're all going to be probably on agreement. Chris, who would you pick?
Chris, watch Chris pick Georgia Tech now.
It's at
no
Virginia.
way. I support my team.
Oh, that's hard.
I'm trying to find a way to get to the game, guys. I got to be because my daughter's got
nice.
that I'm working, but I got to figure it out. But
she can walk.
Yeah, I think that she can swim. I think that again, we found our identity coming back home after some a big road win. I'm hoping we can carry it through. We've struggled, with some of the bottom half of the ACC teams so far, but we're a different squad now. I'm looking forward to the Michael DeVoe, potentially, Reese Beekman / Armand Franklin matchup. Both of those guys are really good defenders. And so I just think we present some matchup problems, and finding that the aggressive side of our guards will, help feed our two inside guys too for some more dunks down low.
Stevie.
So don't fall in love with the threes. Don't fall in love with the threes. Who's work it inside.
If you guys hit more than 2 for threes in the first half, you're going to lose. Here's the thing I worry about with this game. You're coming off a big road win, like you said, emotional game. Is this a trap game? Is this one of those games where you're like, okay, we can beat these guys. We beat Duke. We just beat Duke. We don't even need to worry about this. We got Duke. We're going to beat Georgia Tech. All we got to do is show up. That's going to be a key right there. Do I think that'll happen? No, I don't think Tony Bennett will let that happen. No, I don't. But that was one thing that worried me here. But I'm telling you, Billy, you're not going to like it. But I think and it's a good time for Chris to come on. I mean, I'm not brown nosing him or anything. I think you're seeing the start of a hot streak right now for Virginia. I really do.
Oh, I would agree.
I mean, they've got that Duke game. Just it was a last second shot, but it was a win at Cameron. They played well here lately. They, like he said, they found their identity, and I think right now, Virginia is a team that you could see. I'm not going to say Final Four because you'll start having a hissy fit again, but Virginia is a team that I think it's going to make the NCAA tournament. I think it's going to go deep because of that experience they've got with Clark and with Tony Bennett. I think I'm telling you, when I saw that the other night and after the games before that, I'm like, watch out for Virginia now. What have we been saying though too, Billy? Bennett's going to turn it around. Bennett's going to turn it around.
And I would say, Stevie, on your point about the emotional letdown from the Duke, I would say, that's certainly something I would consider too. However, that was Monday. This game, if this game was like Wednesday against a Monday, maybe kind of like the Duke North Carolina game on Saturday to Monday. That's such a tight turnaround. Monday to Saturday, like having this week to prepare, and even Krzyzewski said it when they were lacing them up against us. He said you really need some time to prepare for Virginia because they execute so well on everything. And I hope that continues. I think that it will. The team early on in the season, Stevie, would lose this game for that exact reason, which is, well, we're UVA and we're better, so we'll win, right? Well, no, I think what we've learned, you got to go take it.
William and Mary, and was it with them?
JMU.
Yeah.
JMU and Navy. I mean, those were games like you said that Virginia showed up and said, there's no way we're losing these guys. And
hey, let me run something by you guys. It was interesting. I was listening to Tony Bennett has something called Coach's Corner every week after, and so I was listening to it. Now, I want to understand your guys' reaction to this. They were talking. The host was asking about the environment at Cameron, and everybody's right on you and screaming and yelling. They were asking about what was the preparation, and Bennett said, "Well, gosh, we played in some hostile environments this year. If you were at that JMU game." And so I was wondering, is that a little bit of a, comparing Cameron to now JMU just opened it's a beautiful facility, but I thought I got a little chuckle out of that, comparing that to the JMU atmosphere. I mean, it's interesting.
Let me tell you this. I don't know if you guys watched Carolina and College of Charleston play early in the year. I will put the way that crowd was, the College of Charleston crowd, up against, at least that night. I don't know what they've done since, but that night I'll put that up against Cameron any day. Because I'm sitting here at home and I felt like Carolina's at a big disadvantage right now because of that crowd. That crowd is awesome. And I wouldn't put that past the JMU. I didn't see the JMU game, but you can have a great crowd there at any game, but that College of Charleston game, they were on fire there, and College of Charleston fed off of it for a half, and then for part of the second half, and then Carolina pulled ahead. But yeah,
I think we can all agree
I'll
on
say
this. The atmosphere at college basketball games, especially this time of year, is just, it's got to be the best thing ever. Whether you're a fan or a hater or whatever it is. I mean,
it's so glad to see people in the seats again. I mean, it's been so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
But and we've said this, I've said this, I've done interviews with state players, Carolina players, haven't done, but I've done one Duke player. But the fact that Duke has stayed in Cameron and Carolina and State have both moved to bigger arenas, taking it away from the floor. It's not down there. The crowd is not down there the floor like it was at Reynolds. Reynolds Coliseum, I will say this, I would put that on par back in the 80s, especially 80s after 83, and up until V left. I will put Reynolds Coliseum on par with Cameron as far as that crowd. I actually think the Cameron crowd learned a little bit from Reynolds Coliseum crowd, because they were pretty bad at the time. But the noise meter at Reynolds, the heat that all these guys have said the same thing. The state players that played at Reynolds have said the same thing. Coming up out of that, from under and coming out and feeling that heat, which they were used to it, feeling that heat and hearing that crowd and seeing them all down right there on the floor was a great advantage for them. And I know you want to put butts in the seat, but somehow Duke manages to still put butts in the seat and make some money. I think it's a disadvantage for State and Carolina that they don't have.
It's working really well for our women. So they're still Reynolds and winning.
Exactly.
So maybe we need to, figure something out with that. But I think
why not play the State
Virginia
Carolina game at Reynolds?
I'd love to do that. I think it'd be great. So we're definitely not filling out our stadium right now. If you saw the game last night, fans aren't showing up, so it's not looking good. We might need to start swapping over to Reynolds. All right, so I think we're pretty safe to say we're going with Virginia. I will say this: I think Georgia Tech keeps it close for a bit, but then Virginia kind of pushes away. Georgia Tech's been playing teams pretty close. They had it close against Notre Dame last night. It just couldn't pull it out. So I think they'll show up to play, but I think Virginia will be too much for them to get the win. Duke, Boston College. Listen, hey, Boston College may surprise you. They are playing better basketball. They really are, but it's not going to be enough against Duke.
Good gosh, Billy, I can't believe you even said that.
Well, they are. Boston College is playing some better basketball right now.
They are playing better, but they're
not going to compete against Duke. So,
No.
And Duke's pissed. So, yeah,
Duke's having a game right now.
Oh, that's right. Who are they playing right now?
Clemson at Little John.
What's the score?
It's 41-33. Just started second half. Duke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll take that. All right. So Syracuse, Virginia Tech. What do you got? It's that one.
That's an interesting matchup. Those teams right in the middle. I mean, I think that Virginia Tech is, and it pains me to say it, they're a good defensive team. And I think maybe this is where losing Edwards could hurt Syracuse, because Aluma is really good down low for Tech. They've got, I think, one of the things watching the show this year, you guys were surprised. Virginia Tech just got off to an awful start.
Yeah.
Horrible start in the league. But now they're coming around, and will we have thought 3 weeks ago that they'd be 500? They could get there. They could get there this with the win against Syracuse. So I give the edge to the Hokies on this one. I think it's their defense that wins.
And it's at Virginia Tech. I mean, probably tough play. Virginia Tech is not an easy place to play. I mean, Chris probably vouched for that with Virginia going there. And they've got a pretty solid coach. So I agree. I would go with you, Chris. I got Virginia Tech winning that game.
Yeah, I think with the loss of their center, I don't think Boeheim Magic is going to happen this year. I think we're going to see a struggling Syracuse team second half. I think Virginia Tech takes, especially at home. I think Virginia Tech takes it.
They need it. Big time. So then you got.
Watch out for these Clemson team though. They cut it to 6.
I'll be switching that over as soon as we get done here. So you never know. So
Don't
Notre
turn
Dame,
it on, Billy. You'll probably jinx it.
I just might. So Notre Dame at Clemson. So I think the Irish are playing good basketball. Clemson's, I don't know, a bit like State this year, not as bad, but just not getting it done. I see Notre Dame's going to win. I think they're going to win that game.
Well, then Clemson had a pretty significant injury this last week too, I believe. One of their top scorers. So
Correct.
I think that, Notre Dame is the victor there.
I would agree.
Yeah, I definitely think Notre Dame gets that. Clemson's hanging pretty tough with the run. I'm kind of trying to keep up with I'm not watching the actual game. I'm watching the updates of the score.
So is that 80 games Sunday, or is that it?
No, that's it.
That's it, right? So, all right. Did you guys go? I think you guys picked all the same teams. Am I the only one who picked two different wins? I've got Miami winning and Pitt beating State. God, I picked against my own team. I'm such a jerk.
Exactly. What is wrong?
God. I mean, you know what? Screw that. I'm gonna go change that right now. I can't pick against State.
No.
It's
Come on.
Documented with its own
All right.
video.
Listen, I will be pulling for my guys. I just we didn't talk State at all, but listen, hey, it's been a tough go. The guys are still playing pretty hard. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch Jaquavion Smith, baby T. That dude's for real. He's awesome. I think people have figured out Sebron a little bit now. But we will see. Hopefully they stay and we can move on.
I'll put a plug in here. So Monday's Valentine's Day, right? And of course we've got Virginia Tech. Virginia's for lovers. But I'll tell you this, that's going to be a brutal game. Two tough, hard-nosed teams. Valentine's Day night, both of them seemingly on hot streaks. That could be a really fun game to watch if you like good basketball.
And it's at Virginia
Tech. That's at Tech.
It's at Tech. Yep. And of course,
you don't have to worry about any. You don't have to worry about can I go to the game on Valentine's Day instead of out with my wife? So you don't have to worry about that.
Oh, Chris
got to figure out a way to get in front of television.
He's got a whole Chris. Valentine's Day for you must be pretty interesting. You got a whole house full of women to buy for.
Exactly. And the funny thing about this year, I'm actually flying. I'm going to Florida for some sort of a conference, so I'm not even going to be here Valentine's Day night. But I'll be watching the game someplace else. So you guys know how it goes. I gotta build up some goodwill here before leaving on Valentine's Day. So, but yeah, there's a lot. I've got 4 strong, beautiful women in this house that I gotta show some love to.
Wow. I got 2.
He'll make sure everybody's taken care of for you, ladies.
I'm sure he will.
So, hey, well, Chris, hey, thanks, man. Thanks for joining us again tonight. Sorry I messed your clip up. We'll make up for that somehow. But I've enjoyed your background. Actually,
let me just as long as I can keep this up there. That's what matters.
I love the look on these guys' face, the students' faces back there. It's awesome. You might have to forward that over. We'll make it our screensaver. But we would definitely grab you back. Hey, as we get close to ACC tournament time, I'd love to have you come back and jump on, which is right around the corner. It's coming quick. Speaking of, just a plug. So when we had Jared Wittenberg on, he has actually assisted with the production of the history of ACC tournament that's been showing on ACC Network. I don't know if you guys had a chance to catch any of it last weekend. I had the first 2 episodes. It was really well done. And then final 2 are going to be this weekend. So take some time and watch that. It's always fun to go back and look at the tradition of what it's the ACC. Well, it was, and hopefully it's going to be again. So before we go, any final words, Mr. Fly or Mr. Andresen?
Let Chris have the floor first.
All right, Chris.
Well, it's been great being on with you guys again. I've been watching the show this season, and I'll say this: I never gave up on the team. You guys know I was frustrated, right?
Yeah,
just like a lot of fans. But I'll say this about this group too. I watch them; they really didn't quit either. They were working on it. It wasn't always showing on the court, but it at least led to being in the position to get yourself into the tournament. I mean, I think one of the biggest things we got to do for our sake on the consistency side is I'd love to get in the top 4 of the ACC to get that double bye in the tournament. That would be huge. But again, you got to beat Georgia Tech this weekend. And then, like I said, I've got that Monday, Valentine's Day night game circled, that Commonwealth rivalry. That's going to be a really fun matchup. So it's been great talking basketball with you guys again. And, I hope the Who's keep rising. I don't see why not.
I don't see why not either. All right. Totally a little bit off subject here. Big weekend coming up too, ACC basketball, but we got another game that's kind of big this weekend in the NFL. That Super Bowl thing's happening Sunday. Who you guys got, Cincinnati or the Rams?
Chris, I'll let you go first, but I got a team.
I'm going to go with the Bengals.
All right. He's wearing that orange.
I'm wearing the orange. I just think that, again, we've talked about leadership on this show tonight and what we see on the field. I mean, if Joe Burrow pulls it off, is there any better leader of men in the league right now? I mean, what he's done. I love their offense. They've got a lot of weapons. I'm a little bit concerned for Burrow, just knowing that their offensive line is not great, and the Rams could get to him. But he's been in big moments, and he's performed. So I like the Bengals. I think it is. What's the line? You guys have mentioned like -4.5 or something for the Rams, yeah. I think. But I'm going to take the Bengals in the upset.
All right, who you got, Billy?
I'm going Bengals as well. Listen, one reason they got 2 Pack players playing for them right now. One of them got a key interception in that last game. So they got 2 Wolfpack guys on the team. But I'm a big Burrow fan. Listen, Cincinnati's never pulled this off. I mean, it was so fun. I had a chance. I was showing William. I sent a video of they had kind of a montage of all the people's reactions when they beat the Chiefs, and it was so great to see that. I mean, listen, the NFL kind of sucks as a product. It really does. So it was kind of fun to see, kind of getting back to a real passion and excitement for your team and winning. So I'm excited for the Bengals being in it, and I'll be pulling for them.
Okay. Yeah, I'm totally going against both of you guys right now.
That's all right.
And there's one big reason that I'm going against you guys. It's Matthew Stafford.
Yeah. I'm not pulling
this
against
guy. This guy's been through so much with Detroit. This struggles there. Then with his wife getting sick at Detroit, which she's okay now, but I think the guy. It's a good story. Do I think that's enough for him to win the Super Bowl? No, but and Chris, your point about the Bengals offensive line, I see that, but look at what the Chiefs were doing to that offensive line. Look how Burrow kept getting away. I mean, it was incredible. Everybody was talking, the first game was talking about Mahomes dancing around back there and getting away, which that ended in the second half. But the play where one of the defensive linemen for the Chiefs had Burrow Burrow was down and he had him by his shoulder pads, and Burrow manages to gets away, runs 10 yards for a first down. I don't have a problem with Burrow, even though they're in the AFC North with the Steelers. I don't have a problem with Burrow. I like Burrow. I liked him at LSU. Do I think they could win? Sure, I do. I think they could win. I think they've got – I've been saying for the last month and a half that I think they'll go far. I think they're missing something, and it may be the offensive line from them being a dominant team. But here's the key to the Rams. Cooper Kupp.
I was going to say, Cooper, he's the best player on the field, right, Stevie? I mean, he's unbelievable.
My favorite player outside of Pittsburgh is Cooper Kupp, because the guy can, no matter how, look at the numbers he's put up this year. How, as a defense, do you let this guy get open? The last 2 games, the Buccaneers game, he's got open. The 49ers game, he scores 2 touchdowns and pretty much seals the deal. That and then to look at him, I don't know how much you watch him, Dilly, but to look at him when he scores a touchdown, he acts like he's been there before. He goes, hands the ball to the referee.
He's old school football. I love it.
Barry Sanders like, just hands the ball to the referee and goes and goes. And the defense is going to make a big difference for the Rams too. But the Rams need to learn how to keep the foot on the gas. When they get a lead, they need to learn how to keep the foot on the gas. But I think it's going to be a close one. But I'm saying the Rams.
Listen, I'm just so glad not to see Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. I'm happy with what we got. So
hold on, I can't let this go. I'm going to put you in a hypothetical situation, Billy.
All right,
you're down. You're a coach. You've coached football, right, Billy?
Flag football, but yeah.
Yeah, flag football. We're football coaches. So near the end of the game, no timeouts. You're down, 3 or 4, something like that. You're gonna call a draw to your quarterback up the middle and run in the middle of the field with no timeouts?
No.
I had to take that shot at Chris. Chris is a Cowboys man. I had to take a shot.
Oh, that's why I was like, why you busting the Cowboys?
I hate.
And I forgot he's a Cowboys fan.
You didn't even realize what I was doing there, did you, Billy?
No, I was trying to figure out why you were going after the Cowboys that way, but
I will stand by. Look, as I've shown tonight, unlike Billy, I live and die with my squads. So I went down with the ship on that one. I will still say, Stevie, while unconventional, the play, had it been executed properly, could have worked. But it did. I mean, and the reality was we played a horrible game. I mean, for like 58 minutes, it was terrible football. We shouldn't have even been in that position, except for Jimmy G trying to give it back to us. But the execution was terrible. The actual idea of it, I wasn't against, but he just botched it.
But I'll tell you this, Chris, as a coach, and I'm not saying I'm Mike McCarthy or anything like that. As soon as he took off up the middle, the first thing I said was, "What the?" and put the censor word in here right now, Billy, because that was come out of my mind. I'm not even a Cowboys fan. I was like, "What the are you doing?" And then I know, from what I know of Chris, I'm sure he realizes that the referee had to spot the ball before. Unlike some Cowboy fans, I said the referee kept the ball from him. They cheated. They cheated. And I was like, oh my gosh, the referee had to spot the ball every play. You can't spot the ball yourself.
I will say this, Stevie. I think that Mike McCarthy is one of the worst football coaches in the NFL. I do not.
And you agree on that,
But I will say, that was just, again, we just played a terrible game. We didn't deserve to even have an opportunity to win it. But yeah,
I'm sorry.
Here we are.
As nice as I was to you about Virginia, I had to throw that shot in at you.
Hey, but this is why we love sports, right, guys?
It humbles
you, but it gives you a lot of fire too.
At least your team was in position to win the game at the end, not like mine. We got blown away.
At least you guys have teams with real names.
Hold on. What's your hey Billy? What's your outlook for the Commanders this year? Is Cobra gonna beat G.I. Joe this year?
Well, my kind of thoughts is hopefully Snyder has to sell the team and the new owner changes the name, but I don't know how to happen.
You guys, I can only hope that, and that's one of the things we talking about on the Final Score podcast. This investigation. Didn't we just have an investigation of this before by the NFL too, and nothing came up but John Gruden emails? Roger Goodell, I don't know what he steps in and says, no, we're going to do the investigation of it, not the Redskins hiring a private investigator. We're going to do it, or the Commanders, excuse me. We're going to do it. Didn't you just flop on it before? Why didn't you come up with something before?
Stevie's about to put his Final Score backdrop back up. All right, you got us going down the NFL path. All right, you got our predictions.
How about this one, Billy?
Yes. Nice. Actually, today, Stevie, you'll appreciate this. As William and I were playing basketball, I'm screaming to be the man, and he's going, you got to beat the man. And he was doing the Ric Flair. Woo! It was good.
Nobody.
I'm trying to train him right. There it is.
There you go.
So, guys, Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. You're ending it.
No, I was just about to wrap it up. So go ahead.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
He's good. Steve would go on all night. We let him. So
I can, man. I can go on all night when we talk about this. I'm like Ric Flair, the 60-minute man.
all night.
All
All right,
night.
man. Well, guys, hey, thanks so much. It's been fun. It's always fun talking to you guys. We'll wrap this one up. Thanks for riding with us tonight, guys. Go Who's. Go Pack. I'll stick with you as long as I can.
This weekend against Pitt.
I know. They better be fit.
Yeah.
They better be
Hey,
fit.
Billy, are you in the Wolfpack Club?
Yeah.
I think
Why?
your membership just got revoked, I think.
It may have. It may have. I know. I have to go change that pick. I want them to win, but I'm getting realistic now. So that's all right. We'll be okay. Go Women Pack. I'll be pulling for our women's team. All right, guys. I am out of here. Take care, fellas.
Yeah, have a good one,
See ya.
guys.